Oh, hey there. How are you? Here we go for the next part of our read along of the book The Wind in the Willows, written, of course, by Kenneth Grahame. I am reading the Wordsworth edition, a beautiful Wordsworth edition. Look at that. And tonight, in the Wordsworth edition, we're starting on page 53. If you don't have the same edition as me, it is the start of chapter 3, The Wild Wood. The music. The mole had long wanted to make acquaintance of the badger. He seemed, by all accounts, to be such an important personage, and though really rarely visible, to make his unseen influence felt by everybody about the place. But whenever the mole mentioned his wish to the water rat, he always found himself put off. "It's all right," the rat would say. "Badger'll turn up some day or other. He's always turning up. Then I'll introduce you. The best of fellows, but you must not only take him as you find him, but when you find him." Couldn't you ask him here, dinner or something?" said the mole. "He wouldn't come," replied the rat simply. "Badger hates society and invitations and dinner and all that sort of thing. Oh, Badger, I love you." "Well then, supposing we go and call on him," suggested the mole. "Oh, I'm sure he wouldn't like that at all," said the rat, quite alarmed. "He's so very shy. He'd be sure to be offended. I've never even ventured to call on him at his own home myself, though I know him so well. Besides, we can't. It's quite out of the question, because he lives in the middle of the wild wood." "Well, supposing he does," said the mole. "You told me the wild wood was all right, you know." "Oh, I know, so it is," replied the rat evasively. "But I think we won't go there just now. Not just yet. It's a long way, and he wouldn't be at home at this time of year anyway. And he'll be coming along some day, if you'll just wait quietly." The mole had to be content with this. But the badger never came along, and every day brought its amusements, and it was not till summer was long over, and cold and frost and miry ways kept them much indoors, and the swollen river raced past their windows with a speed that mocked at boating of any sort or kind, that he found his thoughts dwelling again with much persistence on the solitary grey badger who lived his own life by himself in his hole in the middle of the wild wood. In the winter-time the rat slept a great deal, retiring early and rising late. During his short day he sometimes scribbled poetry or did other small domestic jobs about the house, and, of course, there were always animals dropping in for a chat, and consequently there was a good deal of storytelling and comparing notes on the past summer and all of its doings. Such a rich chapter it had been, when one came to look back at it all, with illustrations so numerous and so very highly coloured. The pageant of the riverbank had marched steadily along, unfolding itself in scene pictures that succeeded each other in stately procession. Purple loosestrife arrived early, shaking luxuriant tangled locks along the edge of the mirror whence its own face laughed back at it. Willowherb, tender and wistful like a pink sunset cloud, was not slow to follow. Comfrey, the purple, hand in hand with the white, crept forth to take its place in the line, and at last, one morning, the diffident and delaying Dog-Rose stepped delicately on the stage, and one knew, as if string music had announced it in stately chords that strayed into a gavotte, that June was at last here. Excuse the snow. I read winter. One member of the company was still awaited, the shepherd boy for the nymphs to woo, the knight for whom the ladies waited at the window, the prince that was to kiss the sleeping summer back to life and love. But when meadow-sweet, debonair and odorous in amber jerkin moved graciously to his place in the group, then the play was ready to begin. And what a play it had been! Drowsy animals, snug in their holes while wind and rain were battering at their doors, recalled still keen mornings, an hour before sunrise, when the white mist, as yet undispersed, clung closely along the surface of the water, then the shock of the early plunge, the scamper along the bank, and the radiant transformation of earth, air, and water, when suddenly The sun was with them again, and grey was gold, and colour was born and sprang out of the earth once more. They recalled the languorous siesta of hot midday, deep in green undergrowth, the sun striking through in tiny golden shafts and spots, the boating and bathing of the afternoon, the rambles along dusty lanes and through yellow cornfields, and the long, cool evening at last, when so many threads were gathered up, so many friendships rounded, and so many adventures planned for the morrow. There was plenty to talk about on those short winter days when the animals found themselves round the fire. Still, the mole had a good deal of spare time on his hands, and so one afternoon, when the rat in his armchair before the blaze was alternately dozing and trying over rhymes that wouldn't fit, he formed the resolution to go out by himself and explore the wild wood, and perhaps strike up an acquaintance with Mr. Badger. It was a cold, still afternoon with a hard, steely sky overhead when he slipped out of the warm parlour into the open air. The country lay bare and entirely leafless around him, and he thought that he had never seen so far and so intimately into the insides of things as on that winter day when nature was deep in her annual slumber and seemed to have kicked the clothes off. Copses, dells, quarries, and all hidden places, which had been mysterious mines for exploration in leafy summer, now exposed themselves and their secrets pathetically, and seemed to ask him to overlook their shabby poverty for a while, till they could riot in rich masquerade as before, and trick and entice him with the old deceptions. Coming back to that at the end. It was pitiful in a way, and yet cheering, even exhilarating. He was glad that he liked the country undecorated, hard and stripped of its finery. He'd got down to the bare bones of it, and they were fine and strong and simple. He did not want the warm clover and the play of seeding grasses, the screens of quickest, the billowy drapery of beech and elm seemed best away, and with great cheerfulness of spirit he pushed on toward the wild wood, which lay before him low and threatening, like a black reef in some still southern sea. There was nothing to alarm him at first entry. Twigs crackled under his feet, logs tripped him, funguses on stumps resembled caricatures, and startled him for the moment by their likeness to something familiar and far away. But that was all fun and exciting. It led him on, and he penetrated to where the light was less, and trees crouched nearer and nearer, and holes made ugly mouths at him on either side. Everything was very still now. The dusk advanced on him steadily, rapidly, gathering in behind and before, and the light seemed to be draining away like floodwater. Then the faces began. It was over his shoulder, and instinctively that he first thought he saw a face, a little evil wedge-shaped face looking out at him from a hole. When he turned and confronted it, the thing had vanished. He quickened his pace, telling himself cheerfully not to begin imagining things, or there would be simply no end to it. He passed another hole, and another, and then, yes, certainly a little narrow face, with hard eyes, had flashed up for an instant from a hole and was gone. He hesitated, braced himself up for an effort, and strode on. Then suddenly, as if it had been there all the time, every hole, far and near, there were hundreds of them, seemed to possess its face, coming and going rapidly, all fixing on him glances of malice and hatred, all hard-eyed and evil and sharp. If he could only get away from the holes in the banks, he thought, there would be no more faces. He swung off the path and plunged into the untrodden places of the wood. Then the whistling began, very faint and shrill it was, and far behind him when first he heard it, but somehow it made him hurry forward. Then, still very faint and shrill, it sounded far ahead of him, and made him hesitate and want to go back. As he halted in indecision, it broke out on either side, and seemed to be caught up and passed on throughout the whole length of the wood to its furthest limit. They were up and alert and ready, evidently, whoever they were, and he was alone and unarmed and far from any help, and the night was closing in. Then the pattering began. He thought it was only falling leaves at first, so slight and delicate was the sound of it. Then as it grew, it took a regular rhythm, and he knew it for nothing else but the pat, pat, pat of little feet. Still a very long way off, though. Was it in front or behind? It seemed to be the first one, then the other, then both. It grew and it multiplied till from every quarter, as he listened anxiously, leaning this way, leaning that, it seemed to be closing in on him. As he stood still to hearken, a rabbit came running hard toward him through the trees. He waited, expecting him to slacken pace or to swerve from him into a different course. Instead, the animal almost brushed him as it dashed past, his face set and hard, his eyes staring. "Get out of this, you fool, get out!" the mole heard him mutter as he swung round a stump and disappeared down a friendly burrow. The pattering increased till it sounded like a sudden hail on a dry leaf carpet spread around him. The whole wood seemed running now, running hard, hunting, chasing, closing in round something or somebody. In panic, he began to run too, aimlessly, he knew not whither. He ran up against things, he fell over things and into things. He darted under things and dodged around things. At last he took refuge in the deep, dark hollow of an old beech tree which offered shelter, concealment, perhaps even safety, but who could tell? Anyhow, he was too tired to run any further, and he could only snuggle down into the dry leaves which had drifted into the hollow and hope he was safe for the time. And as he lay there panting and trembling and listening to the whistlings and the patterings outside, he knew it at last in its fullness, that dread thing that which other little dwellers in field and hedgerow had encountered here, and known as their darkest moment, the thing which the rat had vainly tried to shield him from, the terror of the wild wood. Meantime, the rat, warm and comfortable, dozed by his fireside. His paper of half-finished verses slipped from his knee, his head fell back, his mouth opened, and he wandered by the verdant banks of dream rivers. Then a coal slipped, the fire crackled and sent up a spurt of flame, and he woke with a start. Remembering what he had been engaged upon, he reached down to the floor for his verses, pored over them for a minute, and then looked round for the mole to ask him if he knew a good rhyme for something or other. But the mole wasn't there. He listened for a time. The house seemed very quiet. Then he called, "Molly!" several times, and receiving no answer, he got up and went out into the hall. The mole's cap was missing from its accustomed peg. His galoshes, which always lay by the umbrella stand, were also gone. The rat left the house and carefully examined the muddy surface of the ground outside, hoping to find the mole's tracks. There they were, sure enough. The galoshes were new, just bought for the winter, and the pimples on their soles were fresh and sharp. He could see the imprints of them in the mud, running along straight and purposeful, leading direct to the wild wood. The rat looked very grave and stood in deep thought for a minute or two. Then he re-entered the house, strapped a belt round his waist, shoved a brace of pistols into it, took up a stout cudgel that stood in a corner of the hall, and set off for the wildwood at a smart pace. It was already getting toward dusk when he reached the first fringe of trees and plunged without hesitation into the wood, looking anxiously on either side for any sign of his friend. Here and there wicked little faces popped out of holes, but vanished immediately at sight of the valorous animal, his pistols and a great ugly cudgel in his grasp, and the whistling and pattering which he had heard quite plainly on his first entry died away and ceased, and all was very still. He made his way manfully through the length of the wood to its furthest edge, then, forsaking all paths, he set himself to traverse it, laboriously working over the whole ground, and all the time calling out cheerfully, "Molly! Molly! Molly! Where are you? It's me, it's old Rat." He had patiently hunted through the wood for an hour or more when at last, to his joy, he heard a little answering cry. Guiding himself by the sound, he made his way through the gathering darkness to the foot of an old beech tree with a hole in it, and from out of the hole came a feeble voice, saying, "Ratty, is that really you?" There you go. Thank goodness Rat found Mole. Hey, we'll catch up tomorrow night. Before I do any of my chatter at the end of this video, I just need to go back to that descriptive part that was at the start of tonight. I think I fell in love at that moment. Did you see it hit my face? Wow, I'm going to read it again. So, imagine your mole now, and you've just seen the hedgerows and stuff in the summertime. You know, like how like you can go and hide up when you're a kid and stuff. But then, of course, when autumn, winter comes along, and all of the leaves have gone, and it's just exposed. Oh my goodness! Kenneth? How did Kenneth do that? I wanted to call him Graham for a minute as his surname. Here we are. Copses, dells, quarries, and all hidden places, which had been mysterious mines for exploration in leafy summer, now exposed themselves and their secrets pathetically, and seemed to ask him to overlook their shabby poverty for a while, till they could riot in rich masquerade as before, and trick and entice him with the old deceptions. It was pitiful in a way, and yet cheering, even exhilarating. He was glad that he liked the country undecorated, hard and stripped of its finery. He'd got down to the bare bones of it, and they were fine and strong and simple. Oh, gosh, I do like that descriptive bit there. I love a bit of description now and again. So, I just wanted to talk about that. Let's have a look, because I saw some comments on here. So we'll have a little look at some comments. Then I've got a challenge for you to finish off. All right. So let's have a look what we got here. We've got lovely, lovely Melanie here. My weekend is domestic stuff. I'm doing some tidying I'd missed and making roast chicken Sunday dinner. I walked Honey, that's her dog, at a nature park Saturday. She was thrilled. Iced my foot and kept going a bit longer. Love you reading. You're so funny. I don't know what I've done that's funny, Melanie. What did I do? I don't even remember. That was in number 3. I hope you're back to yourself soon. You really needed that time off. And it's rude how a virus can steal your speed. I'll tell you what. Yeah. I went out for food last night. I've just been eating like half a bag of chips. Half a bag of crisps recently. But I went out for food last night. My goodness. Thanks for your comment, Melanie. Love heart there. Here's Dragonfleet. I'm fairly new to the channel. Hey! And just love the cosy, friendly vibe. I'm really enjoying the read along and the chat at the end. Oh, dragonfly is pronounced dragonfly, like the insect. I love them, but YouTube said there weren't enough letters for my username, so I popped EI in the end. In German, it's pronounced like I, and it fit the letter count. There you go. I wonder if there are dragonflies along the river where Rat and Mole live. Bet there are. There's got to be. There's just got to be, hasn't there? I wonder if they talk, though. What animals talk and what animals don't talk there. I was a little bit worried that the horse wasn't going to talk, but the horse wasn't it? It was complaining that it wanted to or that it was lonely or something. But yeah, I wonder if the dragonfly or if the fish talk there as well. Is there like some kind of order of, like a hierarchy? These animals can talk, but these animals cannot talk. Where is the divide there, is what I'm asking. Here's a dash of colour. I ain't heard from you for ages, a dash of colour. I heard from you, I think, when it was voting time, didn't I? But, yeah, I ain't heard from you for ages. Loving this one, Mr. S. First time listening nightly. I usually listen to old playlists, and it's such a treat each night. Oh, girl. Thank you. That's very kind of you, Dash of colour. I think, I can't remember when you first started talking on here, Dash of Colour. I think that was with a Terry Pratchett one ages and ages and ages ago, maybe. Especially if you look at the old playlists, I guess, hey. Anyway, let's have a little challenge now, all right? So, it just struck me as I was reading that what I thought would be a good little challenge. So, Rat, is sitting at home constructing poetry. I just thought it was like a nice little autumnal hobby, you know, and it's very autumnal here today. Yesterday it was really sunny. Today is just rainy misery and a bit chilly. So I thought, poetry. I wonder if I could put a little challenge out to you to write me in the comments underneath just a haiku. Haiku. So that's 5 syllables in the first line, 7 syllables in the second line, 5 syllables in the third line. The theme is about your day. All right. So even if you're listening to it today, obviously tell me about your day today. If you're listening to it in the future, I'm recording this on Monday, the 28th of October, 2024 at 15:37. But if you're listening to this in the future, Still do it. It will still stand, won't it? All right, but yeah, write me a haiku. I'll put one down below as well. Don't use AI to be writing it because that's cheating. But just one with 5 syllables in the first line, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. All right, we'll see. We'll see if we can collect any. You don't have to. It's just a bit of fun. You know, there's no prizes either. I might read some out. So if you don't want me to read it out, remember the rule. Say, don't read this one out, Mr. S. Right. Okay, I've waffled for enough today. I'll see you all tomorrow. All right. Good night.